Man, I took Jay Wayne to play golf, his first game ever, and all I gotta hear is how he's gonna beat me. Now, 3 years later, I don't play all the time, and he just always want to talk about how now he can beat me. So now, I'm about to get back on the grind. Come over here, man.
What up, what up, what up?
Hey.
What up, what up?
Why you always saying you can beat me, bro?
Because it's facts. I only spitting facts. Look, I put in 1,000 hours, man.
Yeah.
I've been grinding. Let's go.
He put in 1,000 hours and 5,000 on a golf lesson. See that video up there. But I'm going to just tell you, I'm about to put them 1,000 dubs on him.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
Let's get it.
Look like you got some work to do, baby.
A little work to do, ain't nothing to it.
Have faith in your mind, have faith in your grind, invest in yourself, transform in your time. Have faith in your mind, have faith in your grind, invest in yourself, transform in your time. When you trading get paid, trading get paid, trading get paid, trading get paid, oh yeah, trading get paid.
What's going on, everybody? It's Joe Giunta with Trend Trading Academy. I'm here to help you trade and get paid. And I got a special one for you today. I called a trade to the TTA family. I gave a trade setup. We gave them entry. We went through the whole trade setup process. And this boy was so perfect that in one candle, less than 30 minutes, we caught over 100 pips. 100 pips in one 30-minute candle. That's fire, and I'm going to show you how we did it so that you can do it on your charts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time I drop content, because I'm trying to make sure you got all of the content you need to be a profitable trader. And if you want to become a student, go to trendtrading.academy and join us today. Don't miss out on any more of these trade setups because they're fire. If you want the TGP merch, shirts, hats, trading journals, I got you. Just go to tradinggetpaid.com, get your merch, and let's trade in style as we go into 22. For now, let's get to these charts. All right, guys, so let's jump right into this. All right, so obviously you saw the title, 100 pips in 30 minutes. You don't see anything that's 100 pips right here. And I'm going to show you how I caught a 100 pip move that I called out to the TTA students, and we did it in one 30-minute candle. Let's get it. GBP AUD 30-minute chart. You know that's what I trade. GBP AUD, paying the bills throughout this holiday season. So here's what happened. We were looking at the charts, and what we saw a really nice move up. Okay, we can kind of see here. We had a nice move up. We had this push down. Nice move up. We had a push down. Had a nice push up. We caught that even top right there, as you can see. And anybody who's been trading for any amount of time knows that what we could potentially be looking at is a head and shoulders. What we would do is we would trade the break of the neckline in this area right here. And if we can get that break, we would trade from the break of the neckline, and we would be trading down to structure in here to complete a head and shoulder pattern. Now, something interesting happened. Let me show you what it was. So when we were looking at that head and shoulders and potentially looking at what was going to happen next, what we have happen is sometimes a pattern doesn't come to fruition. Sometimes a pattern rejects. And in this case, let's see what happened. We saw price start to come down, and it came right to our neckline. And look at how it reacted at the neckline. Let me put a line in that area for you. Right? We got a line and we got a line. So we want to see how price reacts in this neckline. And so we see it comes down, and look at that strong rejection. That strong rejection was an indication that now we do not necessarily have a true head and shoulders coming. So we keep going, and we want to see how price responds. In the meantime, we look and see, because all a head and shoulders is low, high, higher low, higher high, and then from a higher high, it comes down to a lower low, lower high, lower low, and essentially it's an uptrend, reversal point, and then a downtrend. That's all a head and shoulders is. So let's see what happens. You start to get price that moves sideways. Look at this, right? You see how that price started to move sideways? And so now, rather than having a shoulder, we're starting to see some sideways movement. Now, here's what's interesting. Now, I'm going to take these lines off the chart because I'm going to show you something else, and it's going to be beneficial for you. Watch this. As you see price start to move forward and in a sideways manner, you also kind of see that it starts to give us some structure. But watch what happens here. You start to see a lot of sideways movement. And that sideways movement gives us some really solid indication of what the market really wants to do, right? And as you see, as we continue moving forward, it continues moving sideways, but it's also kind of moving in a downward manner. So you have this falling pattern, or you have this falling price, but it's moving at a very slow pace because there's a gather happening at that point. Now, remember, head and shoulders got rejected, and now we start to see sideways movement. That's interesting for a couple of reasons. Watch this. When you start to see price looking sideways, it gives us something super powerful, and that is, if we can go back from the beginning of our pattern and come down like this, right? If we can come down and draw that trend line, like my previous video where I showed you how to use trend line breaks, and you can see that video above, you can look and use that same pattern. But here's what's awesome is it's not only just giving us a trend line to the opposite side, but it's also giving us this area in here, which if you look here, you have this pattern that's also going the same way, but at a different dynamic. And so when you look in here, you can kind of see that you have structure. You have an outer trend line, and you have an inner trend line. And both of them would eventually come together with your top or main trend line. That's interesting because really what that forms is a falling wedge. That gives you a pattern of being a falling wedge. You can come from here or you can come from here. It really just depends on how you like to play it. If you like it tight, or if you like it to, to kind of give price room to form bigger moves. That's up to you. So we have that somewhat of a wedge kind of happening here. It's falling, it's coming together. Now, what's interesting is this is not just a falling wedge. This is a falling wedge at the rejection of a head and shoulders. And what I'm trying to help you understand is when you have a pattern forming that rejects, you generally have a reversal, or you have a price that will continue going in the previous direction. So this price was moving up. A head and shoulders pattern is a reversal pattern, meaning that instead of being a reversal and coming completely down, it would essentially reject and push up. That's interesting because we have a high right here. So now we have low, high, higher low, higher high, and then we have the downside rejection of the head and shoulders. But now that pattern of low, high, higher low, higher high actually becomes only a smaller portion of a much bigger wave. And let me show you that with the writing here. So instead of looking at it like this, now you can see that extension, correction, extension actually becomes just one extension on the larger move, and now we could start to see where it would have to come at least to here to obey structure, because now It's just a bigger piece of market structure. So let's watch this. Take those lines off, and let's see what price does. Now, because we have the strength of a rejection, but it didn't just reject. It rejected into another pattern. That is, it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes a rejection, it just happens and we reject a pattern and it just rejects and just does whatever. But sometimes when a pattern rejects, it rejects as another pattern. So what I mean by that is head and shoulders, rejection, but it didn't just reject, it rejected as a wedge. So when you see that, and you see it rejecting as a wedge like that, that gives it an even higher probability to push in your direction. And not only push in your direction, but push in your direction with major force. You have structure, you have golden zone, which that's a whole nother video for another time. You can see my golden zone videos above. And you have falling wedge pattern. So now you have 4 confirmations of a push up coming. This trend line break is about to be vicious. Watch this. That's when I said, team, it's time to eat. And watch what happens. Price comes down, finishes our wedge pattern. Breakout, breakout, breakout. Retest. Boom. Look at that. We literally watched a falling wedge form as a rejection of a head and shoulders. And so because we had a falling wedge that forms as a rejection of the head and shoulders, we know that when that wedge breaks, it's over. We get the breakout, we get the retest. Here's your entry on this candle, and in one candle, look at that. Folks, I want you to notice that. One candle, we enter at the retest. And in one candle, look what happens. One candle. This is the 30-minute chart. So in less than 30 minutes, from the rejection all the way to the top, is 107 pips. You may not get it all the way there. Maybe you took it to the close of the candle, 93 pips. But you were able to eat 100 pips in 30 minutes. And guess what, folks? You don't see any news down here. You see this? You see the economic events? You don't see no news down here. This wasn't news that pushed this up. This wasn't the strength of news or some abnormality in the market. This was simple price action and market structure, understanding patterns and how patterns work together, and finding an absolute sniper entry to get in on a retest for a 30-minute move that gave us 100 pips. That's how we make money in the market, and that's how we find sniper entries when we get in the right way. All right, guys, there you have it. I hope this video brought you a lot of value. In fact, I know it did, because, bro, 100 pips in one candle, that's fire. And understanding how patterns work with patterns. And if we can catch a rejection pattern that forms a pattern of its own, man, that's powerful. High probability and a lot of momentum going the other way. So I hope this brought you a lot of value. Go ahead and mark your charts up. Do your thing. Get your charts looking like this so you can catch them pips too. All right? So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share this video. Let the whole world know that Forex is the vehicle that's taking us to make these moves out here. All right? I'll see you in the next video.